you do.
So yeah, Eric, thanks everybody. We kicked off American Destiny. Well, let me start with me. I guess I've been in real estate since 1989, and was a broker, had my own office, worked for a couple of the Long and Fosters and Coldwell Bankers, NRT, a couple of those different shops, if you don't know my history. And then 2007, got an opportunity to kick off American Destiny Real Estate Services, which was, of course, back then was the market was kind of insane if you guys been around that long. But with it, we actually just started off as trying to build out a network of the best. We don't want to have the biggest, we want to have the best agents in our database, in our vendor database. And so we really vetted and did a really good job. And I got a lot of traction quickly with clients just because we were able to get some pretty good turnaround times and shaving off a whole month on the pre-marketing phase of the REO process. So we had some really great success because we were able to show value, which was great. That was 2007, 8. And of course, we've gone through the ebbs and flows of the marketplace, but through that whole process, we built out a whole asset management company. So now we pretty much do soup to nuts, you name it. When it comes to asset management, we handle it. And we do that in all 50 states, and we do it in all U.S. territories. So we've done business in Guam, in the Philippines, actually, Puerto Rico a lot, some other different places, which is kind of cool. Makes your day a little different when you can do stuff like that. But then we kicked off end to end, and if Barry's able to get on, I know he was having a little trouble, but he was the founder. He came to us with a great idea 3 years ago, actually almost 4 years ago. And we kicked off end-to-end solutions, which was it's a national eviction platform. But again, that has evolved tremendously since we kicked it off. And it now pretty much does everything as well when it comes to inspections in the SFR space, when it comes to draw inspections, when it comes to pre-purchase inspections. So a lot of the different, again, boots on the ground activities, but it's a great piece to what ADR offers, and it's been fantastic. Since over the 3.5 years, it's grown tremendously. So there you go, Eric.
Let me pull Barry here in just a second. Just so everybody knows, today's topic was a velocity recap. A bunch of us were at Velocity, which is put on by Force. So we were out in Nashville. We spent a few days together. Had a phenomenal. It exceeded my every expectation. I just came out of there blown away. It was my first conference that I was able to go to, and I was just absolutely blown away. So I'm really looking forward to I'm looking forward to 5-star. I cannot wait to get there with you guys and talk more REO and learn this industry more. But yes, we have Barry Owens on the call today. He CEO of End to End Solutions, and Barry, if you don't mind, just give us a little intro, who you are. I have probably a dozen or more agents on this call for the first time. Let them know who you are, what you do, and go from there.
All right. Thanks, Eric. Yeah. Hi, everyone. For those of you that don't know me, my name is Barry Owens. I have been in the mortgage industry. I'm in year 34 at this point. Started off in the servicing, default servicing world. Worked for a number of smaller to mid-size banks, mortgage companies, and ended up at Chase. And after my servicing career ended, I went into the vendor world and have done a lot of different things. I mean, many of you will remember me from like the ResNet days, back in 2003 when, I think ResNet, we had one client on the platform, right? So before everything really broke loose in 2007 and 2008. And I've had a few different jobs, run REO. My most recent direct REO experience was when I was running REO for a servicer out of Chicago back in 2020, which was, right before I approached Darren about, the concept for end to end. And, as Darren mentioned, we kicked that off just about 3.5 years ago. And it's been an excellent door opener for us. I know a lot of you do like inspection work for us or rekeys, cash for keys offers, but it's been very fruitful across the board because we've ended up landing clients because of that on the disposition side. Now, most of it's not REO, but you know, at the end of the day, I mean, these actually are nicer properties at a higher value typically. So, you know, really grateful for everybody's efforts and willingness to help us out, and you know, hopefully we can reciprocate very, very nicely on the back end when we do get the listings as well.
Yeah, thanks for that intro. Very, it helps me understand also more about what you guys are all about. So today's call is going to focus on a few different areas, and we're definitely have time for questions, but we're going to go over our thoughts on velocity, what we learned. There was some great breakout sessions that we had there, our takeaways from velocity. We want to talk a little bit about our Bid on Homes platform, some of the things that we're asking of our agents to do. We're going to talk a little bit more about you had mentioned, Barry, about landing some of these opportunities being brought about through end to end, and what that looks like in our world, and some of the other clients that we're talking to, and yeah, and then we'll just open up for questions. But first thing I wanted to ask Barry and Darren, you guys can chime in, whatever you want to say about it. But what were your thoughts of velocity as far as the setup, the structure, the information generated? Yeah, just some thoughts on that.
I like.
Oh, go ahead, Darren.
Okay, thanks. I kind of like the fact that it's a very small 5-star, right? But it's definitely focused on what I think to us is really important, and that's getting some relationships built. So it definitely covers all the bells and whistles, and I guess all the bases when it comes to what we do. And they definitely have some great opportunities and some training and certifications and things like that. But if you're really looking to build relationships, which I think that's the name of the game in anything, that's definitely a conference you want to start going to. So I think the fact that, Eric, and one of the things that you really enjoyed about it, I think we talked about this, that you got a lot of FaceTime, a lot of opportunities to meet a lot of these people you've been talking to on the phone that have joined the REO Alliance and been a part of our space, right? And maybe you see on this call, we'll see a bunch of faces, but you actually get to interact, shake hands, maybe even go to dinner or go to lunch or have a just hang out with. And it's just a good opportunity to be able to get to meet people. And again, there's a lot of nuances to what we're doing, and you guys get to ask some questions and have some really good FaceTime when it comes to us about what the big picture looks like. Because I know if I'm you guys and I'm getting an order to go do a door knock or cash for keys, it's not top of my list. It's like, hey, I'd love to do that. It's one of those things. It's almost like it's a building block and a foundational piece to the puzzle of what we do. And to Barry's point on that leads us into getting a lot more opportunities, bottom line. I mean, really, a lot of the stuff we're running with right now on the ADR side was built out by doing these tasks and doing a lot of this not so glamorous kind of work that we do in our space. And sometimes it's hard to see the big picture. So I thought it was a great opportunity to get face to face with folks and get a chance to answer some good questions and be able to let everybody see where we're going and what the world and landscape looks like in the REO. Again, REO is not REO anymore, right? It's property owned, but it's not our traditional. What we look at and think of REO, they don't even want us to call it. For instance, they don't want us to even call it REO. They're making us pull it off the websites. Do not call this an REO. It's a property, it's traditional type sale, just owned by a corporate entity. That's a whole different conversation, a whole different game. And again, it's where we're going. It's a big part of the growth path that we're on, and I see that not changing. So,
yeah, I want to pick up on that in a couple of minutes here. Barry, same question, but I just want to add one thing to the question. What did you think of velocity, and what were some of your? I know you said on some of the panels, you were actually part of the discussion in a lot of the ways. What were some of the things, like the takeaways that you saw, maybe things that maybe are changing in the REO space, as Darren kind of just alluded to?
Yeah, it's definitely a different environment. I mean, it has been for years, right? I remember, Eric Delgado and I were on the panel at Velocity last year. I think it was just called REO Connect last year, but last year in Nashville. And the thing that I was really pushing at that point was, hey guys, from an agent perspective, this isn't going to be about REO. to Darren's point, it's going to be corporate owned properties, but it's not going to be REO. And that's exactly what's happened. It's almost a certainty that it's going to continue through the rest of this year into early next year, that the vast majority of the listings that are going to be out there are going to be corporate owned sales, but they're not going to be REOs. Very, very difficult to predict when that's going to be at this point, when those REOs are finally going to be allowed to work their way through the systems. But probably in a best case scenario, middle of next year. But in the interim, we're getting a very nice volume of the other corporate owned, these single family rental companies that are disposing of their assets. And so again, it's been very lucrative for us. The REO conference itself was fantastic. I just got home last night from, I've just been on a kind of a crazy little run, but did the conference in Nashville. I came back to Vegas, did the NRBA for a day, and then headed back out. We were just in Houston for another conference, and that one was more single family rental specific. But again, that's where a lot of our listing opportunities and our work for our agents is coming from. And as far as the Velocity conference itself, it was fantastic. Smaller scale, you get time. As I know that several of you on this call I've seen 3 times in 3 different cities in the last 2 weeks. But it was great, getting to see a lot of you on just a smaller basis, right? It's not 5-star where it's a real quick pass in the in the lobby or in the bar and just say hi and then move on. But getting to spend some time with people, sit down with people. We had the NADP conference, which went really well in Palm Springs prior to that. So it's been great, and it's helped us get our message out, because I think there's a lot of falsehoods that are out there floating around that you see people chime in with that just don't understand what's going on, quite honestly. There's skeptics that we even have listings and we're sitting there at these round tables and, oh yeah, I've got 10, I've got 5 from you guys, whatever the number's, 25. So it's just, like I said, it's been really good to just be able to get in front of people on a more intimate basis.
Yeah, I think that was definitely my big takeaway, was how we could have conversations with people, long conversations, like you said, not just a passing in the hall, but 15, 20 minutes. I even had breakfast with a couple people that were wanting to talk to me a little bit more. The you guys talked, and I know this is a topic that keeps coming up. The burning question: when is REO coming back? And I think you kind of answered that question just now, Barry. It's not going to be in the near future, but we are seeing a lot of work product coming through American Destiny. I do speak with agents every day who are getting listings from us, and that's great. That's what we want to see. As far as the SFR client that we're dealing with right now, we're using the platform Bid on Homes, and we've had a few interesting conversations about the platform and everything and how it's working. Is there anything you want to talk about during the call today on making that interface with our agents and our asset managers, and even if you need to get in touch with me, how we can make that better for them? Or is there anything that you want to focus on in today's call, since we have an audience of about 90 people today?
Well, Eric, I think it's a great point. And the biggest thing that I can say is communication. Don't be afraid to give feedback. At the same time, don't go overboard with the complaints. It's a little bit of a fine line. I know that there have been some quirks that we've worked through with the help of a lot of you, and trying to make the system more efficient and more productive for everybody, whether that's internal staff for us or the agents or our other vendors. So we greatly do appreciate the feedback, and in that, it's why the communication is so important. We had an incident where one of our agents was kind of taking a beating, quite honestly, because their response times and everything. And once we sat them down and had a conversation with what was going on, it became very clear and evident what the problem was, and we got it addressed. And the blame is on them. They weren't communicating well with it. They were trying to kind of just keep it close to the vest and, and just be open. We value our internal relationships as well as our external relationships. If you see ways that it can be improved, we're all ears. Sometimes we can do it, sometimes we can't, but we're definitely open to feedback.
Thanks, Barry. Darren, was there anything you wanted to add on that, or is there anything you wanted to? Yeah, I think
Uh,
Darren.
No, we talk a lot about it, right? I mean, everyone, the 90-some folks on this call, there are experts. There are boots on the ground. There are our ambassadors of what we're trying to get accomplished in all these different, areas across the United States. And when we run into snags and we run into some, some of our operation workflows we know aren't efficient, and we definitely are looking to always improve them. And we talk about it a lot. I mean, but we're always open to feedback, and we're always open to say, hey, I think I'm big into suggestions. I'm not big into complaining. So, I mean, I think that's just a huge piece, because I mean, I talk a lot about that with my internal team. It's like, I don't want to hear bitching. I want to hear solutions. So if there's, what is your answer for us to fix the problem? Because honestly, you guys in life, we talked a little bit about this earlier. You think you know the right way to do something, and guarantee you, as soon as you start day one and start doing it, you figure out, you know what, we didn't really know exactly what we were talking about. It evolves. It's always changing. And so with that, we understand that, we know that we want to tap into as many brains as we can. And that includes everybody on this call. So if things are going on, and I know a couple of you emailed me directly and said, hey, by the way, some of the processes that we're doing don't make sense. Here's my thoughts on, ways to improve it. That's the part I like. Here's my thoughts on ways to improve it. It's not the, hey, by the way, this stinks. Well, that's great. But we deal with it day in and day out too. So we understand it's, again, not efficient. But we're continuing to work and try to mold that into a process that's going to be beneficial. So I guess the bottom line is, we're open to suggestions. We want to learn. We're trying to figure this thing out. We're building the plane as we're flying right now, kind of deal on some of these things. So just understand that. And if you have suggestions, let us know.
Yeah, I think that's well appreciated. I think sometimes agents are afraid to say or come to us because they're like, well, I don't want to bug the asset manager. Or I've been waiting to say this I've been communicating with the buyer's agent for a long time, and just it's probably better just to bring us a solution right away. And if you bring it to me, I'll communicate it to whoever it needs to be communicated to. Or if you communicate it to your asset manager, they'll get it to the right person. But I think Barry and Darren are spot on. Don't over communicate all the crap, but let us know when you have solutions, or if you're seeing something that keeps coming up, and we definitely need to get that information out to us, because we are working to build a really great, we have a great business model to begin with, but it only evolves, it gets better with boots on the ground. And that's what you guys are there for us to do. The analogy we've been using recently with a lot of our agents is there's a wave coming, and if you're surfing, if anybody has ever surfed, you have to be in front of the wave, not behind the wave, to make any progress. So that was from my California agents on this call. So one of the questions I have for both Barry and Darren is, like, if you were an agent in the field and you were working, what would you be doing right now to be preparing for that wave? If there was something in your business model that you need to be doing right now, because I know you guys have conversations daily with potential clients, people that are looking to use our services. What are they telling you to do, and what would you make a recommendation to our agents to do?
From my perspective, and on many of the panels, I've preached about this, the diversity of skill set, right? As an agent, a lot of the orders that we have are maybe like an occupancy check. You go out to the property and find it's vacant. Well, we need that property, that door lock changed and property secured on the spot, right? So either have that skill set yourself and know how to pop that lock and put in a new one, and be able to secure the property, or have a team ready to go ahead and take care of that. These are, the timelines are very tight for us. So, going out and finding a property's vacant and then reporting it as such, and then waiting for it to go back to the client. We've already got the go ahead by our clients in many cases to just go ahead and secure the property and get the rekey done on it. So that, to me, in this current environment in particular, is just either have the ability to do it yourself or have a team immediately available at the ready that can take care of those things. And that goes for the trash outs and things like that as well. We do have a nationwide network. We have several different firms that we utilize on a national level, but we really like it when our agents have those resources. Because quite honestly, it's there's a lot of culpability for those things, and it's very nice when we have the boots on the ground. When it's you guys that are doing the work, we know that there's always a set of eyes on it, making sure that it's done properly. Versus when we go to a national or a regional, we don't necessarily have that same type of oversight.
Hey, Darren, before you expand on that, we have Larry on the call today, and Larry let me know that he's has to jump off at 12:30 for another call. But we talked about this earlier about maybe giving us a little bit of update with MCM Capital Group. Would that be okay if we did that right now?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So Larry, if you don't mind, just I know you've been helping Eric Delgado over at MCM Capital a little bit. Maybe just give us an update on what's going on in their universe and how our agents can help out and maybe get set up with them if they're not.
Yeah, so MCM Capital is a really exciting partner for me, just because they've done so much in the past, and they're a $2.7 billion fund of non-performing notes. And you got to think that as this market has been going up, a lot of these funds like Carrington, like MCM Capital, that built their brands around NPLs, have not been buying as much because money has been cheap, and all of these major institutions and funds, when they cannot get inventory on the market, they're finding it off market. And so they're driving up the prices of these NPL tapes and portfolios, which is not the niche of the players that really play in that, because they buy these spot on and they know they're not going to lose. Well, they don't know for sure, but they have a really good idea that they're buying at the right price. So now that we're seeing interest rates higher, money is not free, these guys are bidding on portfolios often, like every time a portfolio comes up. And so I do see them, starting to take down more and more portfolios that will lead to kind of the future business and stuff here, which is really exciting. And yeah, I know that they're always looking for more people in their network. And they're partners with Templeview Capital at the same time. And just as Barry's talking about on this call, they are looking for specific type agents that have contracting experience, right? When you start dealing with the Templeview portfolio, a lot of this is rehab portfolios and stuff like that. And so, I'm always, trying to help find them coverage and stuff where they need that. And yeah, well, I'm happy to. What would be the best way? You can reach out to Eric and get time on my calendar and stuff there to make sure that Eric has all of your notes and stuff like that. But I know that they're always looking for more people. If you've already spoken to me, I have you in their network. And again, it's just a matter of time. To me, it's not if the inventory is coming, it's when the inventory and stuff is coming from everything that's happened for the past 3 or 4 years.
Do you want me to have them use the Google form, or we sunsetted that?
No, that would be a great place.
Okay.
That until we figure out something else for MCM Capital, that particular Google sheet, if we drop that into the chat, I think that would be a great resource. So that goes to their database directly. The one thing that I can tell you with that, make sure that you fill out all of the zip codes. I know that it's a pain if you work with 90 different zip codes, but do it right the first time, because you're going to be mad if something comes and you only put one zip code and you're like, that's only 5 minutes from me. Like, I'm warning you right now, put all of the zip codes that you service in that Google Docs sheet, because that is what they use to run their queries and stuff right now.
If we've already done the Google Sheet, should we need to do it again? I would say no, you
No.
don't need to do it again. You're fine. And then you also need to be on Pyramid, right, Larry?
Yep, yeah, most of their inventory and stuff goes through the Pyramid platform. So make sure that your Pyramid platform is set up. A lot of agents have it, but it's not updated. This is where I get most of my referral opportunities right now, is because asset managers reach out to me and they're like, look, I had agents there, but their license isn't updated. Their E&O insurance isn't updated. And that's where I get the calls. Guys, you got to do, I know it's a pain when we have all of these different portals and every year we have to update them. I'm looking at Wendy Martin and stuff. Like we have 100 different portals and stuff that we work on. But if you want to be there to capitalize on the business, you have to have these active profiles and stuff in place. And so Pyramid is a big one, and I would make sure that you have all of that in place.
Yeah, thanks for that, Larry. I knew you had to run, so I'll let you go off on that call. And then any questions about MCM? I can field most of those questions. I won't field them on this call, but you just reach out to me on my calendar or send me an email and I can talk to you a little bit more about the MCM Capital Network. But Larry has been letting me know that they are starting to pick up some steam. And since you're part of our American Destiny family, now we formed the REO Alliance. We're just all trying to work more cohesively, which I think is working out really well. So Darren, we were talking about the bid on homes and some of the things. Oh, getting ahead of the wave. How agents can get ahead of the wave. Some of the things that they would be doing. Barry gave us a few suggestions. Anything else you want to add to that? And then I'm going to let you and Barry just talk about whatever else you think you need to talk about on this call, and we can open up for some questions here in a few minutes.
No, that's great. And I'm glad Larry got to throw that up about MCM. I'm all part of the the team, right? So it's just more opportunities, and for the folks on the call, I mean, that's what we're looking to do is try to bring some opportunities to everybody. So I know they're making lots of offers on a lot of tapes right now. So as soon as a couple of those hit, it's going to be a different world for them very quickly. But to Barry's point, to me, it all boils down to making life easier for on the ADR point of view. Like when you go out do an occupancy check, for instance, and you find the property it's vacant, and at that point it's pretty much, can you rekey it immediately? Can you get that done? I mean, and so everybody knows when we're in conversations with the client, a lot of the vendors they deal with, that's not the option. The option is like, go do the occupancy check, and at that point then it goes through a process and it takes days, and maybe the person, the occupant, comes back during that period of time, or a squatter moves in, or it turns into a nightmare. The fact that we offer the ability to do it on the spot is a huge plus for us when we're talking to our potential clients about getting them as a client, because you'll be amazed how many folks don't do it, and don't do that rekey, for instance, and that's a huge step up for us. Same thing when we've talked about ACHs, for instance, for our vendors. So if you're working with us right now, we moved away from checks. I can't stand checks right now. They go out in space, and I see Jared on the call. I know he has a tracker. So when the post office scans it coming to him, he sees it's coming, but then he doesn't get it. So it's like the postal delivery person doesn't like him and takes his checks and throws them in a garbage can or whatever, right? So everybody knows we then have to do a stop payment on that, which costs us an enormous amount of money. I think it's like $50, $40, $50, $60 or something, depending on the financial institution, to stop payment. And then we have to reissue one. And I'm like, we're not doing checks anymore. So, and the reason I bring that up is when you're talking to your vendors, let's say you have someone, a contractor, and they say, I want to check. It says, well, no, these guys, if you push back, they don't want to pay by check. It makes their life easier. It's going to make your life easier. You're going to get more opportunities if you get this ACH set up. If they go through that extra step and they do that, it's a huge plus for us. It just streamlines the process. Our payable runs are boom, they're done. We don't have to think about it anymore. Our accounting department doesn't have to dive back into the problem when it becomes a problem. Again, it's all part of the bigger picture of how are you making our life easier and more efficient. It's going to make your life more efficient. And then that's going to make the asset manager happier because it just streamlines the process. So all these kind of pieces to the puzzle, Eric, I guess, is, like what Barry's talking about is it's all about efficiencies and making the process go smoother and more timely. And if you just keep thinking of it that way and keep an eye on at least your thought process on, hey, what's their point of view? If I can streamline this, I can help this out. I can get my contractors to do what they want them to do. That just makes life easier for us. And that just means the phone's going to ring more. It's just that simple.
Yeah, I think that's an excellent point. I hadn't even thought about that aspect of it because it is true. I mean, we're in a society, we're in a day and age now where instant gratification is not it's not the it's the norm. It's not the exception anymore. It's like that's what we expect. Even when you go on a call with one of these jokers from like, I was on the call with Sears today about my home warranty, and it's like they're asking me, well, we're really sorry to hear about your complaint, and we totally understand. It's like that's a bunch of BS. You don't really understand. You don't care. Let's get to the meat and potatoes of what's going on. So I think that's what we're the society we're in right now is that we have to be efficient. I think efficiency was definitely the key to all this. So anything you guys can do. So make sure you're set up with ACH. Make sure that you have your vendors. Make sure that you have all your ducks in a row, because if you're not getting REO now, you will. It's coming. Foreclosures are starting to ramp up. I think Jeff Russell was on the call, and I wanted to just see if Jeff, if you could tell us the story about the eviction that you had here recently. We were on a huddle with Jeff and Kelly with our group earlier last week, and he was telling us about this eviction. And it's kind of important because there's a form you use, and I think this is a form that everybody could potentially be using. So I don't know, Jeff, you still on the call or?
Yeah, I'm here.
Would you
The
mind
form
going over that? Is that okay?
uh,
Or
yeah, I'll just go over it real briefly. It's basically I have a property that's REO up in Los Angeles, city of it's in Hollywood Hills. If anyone watches the news and sees the party house up in Hollywood Hills, it's literally like a block away from that. So I think they were trying to turn ours into one too. But anyway, during my weekly inspection, this is why it's so important that you're doing your weekly inspections on time weekly without a miss. Went up there on Saturday to do my inspection, and my sign was gone, my lockbox was cut off the front door, and all of a sudden, my gut just went, oh God. So I walk up, knock on the door because my key wouldn't work. The front door knob was vandalized. And guy, of course, answers it and asks me what I want. I said, well, what I want is I want to know what you're doing here. Anyway, long story short, called the police, LAPD. And as most people know on this call, if you do REOs in LA, LAPD isn't going to do anything, right? In fact, most departments won't do anything but tell you it's a civil matter. But fortunately, I had a form that most municipalities have, and it's called an authorization to arrest upon trespass. And I had my no trespassing signs in all the windows, which I know we all do, right? But pictures of those no trespassing signs. So I showed the officers that responded those photos and the authorization to arrest, and combined with all that, I was able to literally get them out that day within like a couple of hours. I mean, it was like a whole SWAT team came in, 12 LAPD officers with like 8 police cars and guns out and everything. So, had I not had that document and the photos of the no trespass that were posted, it would be a different situation. So, for anybody that's doing REO or going to do REO, make sure you always post the no trespassing signs, and you have the authorization to signed by you or the bank authorization to arrest on file with the local police department.
yeah, thanks for that, Jeff. I know that was kind of an important thing, and I'm sure most people on this call know that. I just wanted to reiterate it because it was fresh in my mind. And just to give Jeff a plug he's doing a mastermind call next Thursday, a week from, is that still correct, Jeff? A week from today?
Yeah, every third Thursday of the month.
Okay.
So it'll be the 18th, I believe, is the next one.
And everybody should have the link. It was sent in the newsletter. If you do not have the link, send me a text. I'll put my phone number in the chat, or send me an email. I'll make sure you guys have that link. So back to Darren and Barry. Sorry if I'm jumping around, guys, but final thoughts on today's call, and then we'll open up for questions because we're just past the halfway point, half hour mark.
Okay.
I mean, right now, my final thought is, I think as towards the REO, we had a call with Fannie Mae last week, and it definitely is going to be after the election. I think we talked about this last month as well. It definitely looks like it's definitely. There are some indications, of course, that file counts and foreclosure proceedings on the data front is going in the direction that it's been suppressed, and now it seems to be going a little bit in the direction of going up. But I definitely don't see anything until next year. So unfortunately, but that's where we are with that.
But it doesn't mean business is slow for us. We're still getting assets
Yeah.
out to our agents, right?
Well, the beauty of it, like we talked about earlier, is, REO is not REO anymore, right? I mean, our number one clients are Heckams and purchase leasebacks, and we're dealing a lot with the SFR space. I mean, they're all going through ebbs and flows, and right now, like in this conference that Barry and I were and Tanya in Houston, this National Rental Housing Council group, which is all SFR. And all of them, they called it, they're pruning their inventory, right? They're going through and they're strategically picking markets where they're not getting returns, or they see the return not being where they want it to be. But the bottom line to us is that they're going to be selling those properties. So when those turns come up, they're not re-upping the leases. They're turning them, they're selling them. And that right now by far is our number one client out there, at least with ADR. And our purchase leaseback groups are the same thing. They've always been strong for us the last couple of years. This marketplace with the credit card debts, the auto repos, and all the other stuff we talk about, definitely I see that space growing, and we're going to get even more business when it comes to the purchase leaseback space for sure.
Barry, final thoughts on today's call? We will
Yeah.
open up for questions.
Yeah, somebody had asked a question about, what authorization you have to do a rekey on the spot. If we're telling you to do it, we're giving you, send you an email, or you talking to one of the asset managers, that's all you need. And if you want it in writing, have your asset manager, if you're just on a phone call with them, send it to you in writing, and that's fine. But one of the things, and this is part of the beautiful part about having our agents do this stuff, we do hundreds of these a month, if not into the thousands, literally a month, when we just did that big cash for keys program. So it's hundreds of these activities a month. The only time we ever have problems with it is when we give it to a national or a regional vendor and they go to the wrong house, which doesn't happen often, but it does happen. And again, that's one of the reasons we want to kind of focus on using our resources, which is, the people on this call, to be able to take care of those tasks, because we know, for one, it gets done right away, and for two, it's going to be done properly. So again, but we're greatly appreciative of the efforts that everybody puts forth day in and day out for us. I mean, we wouldn't have had the success that we've had without everybody on this call and the rest of our agent network. So appreciate it.
Thanks, Barry. So we have about 10 minutes or so. I promised we'd have time for questions. So if you guys want to just turn your mic off and ask a quick question, we can go ahead and do that. And Helen put in the chat, she wanted to know if you're on the list for MCM, or are you on the list for or MCM Capital, or are you on the list for end-to-end? And you are, Helen. You are. If you're a part of American Destiny and you're one of our agents in our group, you're signed up with both ADR and end-to-end. So any questions, guys? This is your opportunity to ask the experts, so to speak.
Yeah.
Hey, Eric.
Can you?
It's Debbie. Do we have any information on the reverse mortgage foreclosure process? I had someone ask me about that, and I'm not very familiar with it. So is there any information that I can get regarding the process and what happens to the property once it goes into foreclosure?
Yeah, Darren, do you want to?
I can jump on that. Yeah.
Okay, great.
The reverse. I mean, the beauty about the reverse is not a foreclosure process. It's just an acquisition process, meaning that the company already purchased the property. So a reverse being that the current owner of the property, we'll call them, they become the occupant, right? They were the owner. They sell it to a company. That company is now the owner. So that company's not foreclosing. If anything, they're just evicting an occupant at that point. So there's no actual foreclosure process. It's just a matter of getting access to the property. And then at that point, it's just a matter of liquidating, turning, rehabbing, etc. So there's not a traditional any kind of process that you'd have to figure out, other than that when we reach out to you, typically it's with a lot of our clients, if it's a property that you're going to has in your footprint and you're probably going to get, it starts off with usually an occupancy check. What's going on with the property? These people aren't making their payments, which are rental payments at that point, right? So they're not making their payments, and we want to see if they're actually there at the property or something else is going on. Then it turns into a door knock, and then it turns into a rekey. Then it would turn into a rehab. It sort of goes down that life cycle with that process. So yeah, and then we also have we're hoping to roll it out for this call, but it looks like it's not going to be next month. But we have some relationships with a lot of those guys in that space, and we're trying to. They have some certifications and some other things. Even a bankruptcy group we're talking to right now, which is a whole nother conversation that we're going to try to put together and be able to offer out some additional opportunities in this space that are kind of unique. But the one, I think even two of them have certification classes that might be advantageous to take. And again, when we roll it out, we'll package it all up. So, and we'll definitely leverage our relationships to get any kind of discounts. I'm not been on these calls, you know, I'm not big on paying money to get certifications unless they're actually valuable. So we'll make sure that it's something that's going to be worthwhile. But as towards learning the different processes with some of these clients, because there's going to be a couple different tangents with where we're going, you're going to want to know everything about what to do and how to do it, and have that background and have that expertise. And we'll definitely make sure you have the tools available to know what you're talking about and what you're doing.
Great.
I have a question. How are you guys?
Nice, Evie. Good.
I've been with you guys. I've signed up for years with you, but I haven't received anything. Is there how can I make sure that everything it's okay on your end with my stuff? So to make sure that I'm okay.
Let me look up in my database here real quick, Sevi. I'm seeing in my database, but I don't see that we've ever had a conversation, or maybe we did. It looks like back in 22, we spoke. So why don't you do this? Why don't you just set up time on my calendar, and we'll have another conversation to see. We'll send your info over to the asset managers, make sure you're set up correctly.
Okay.
And I'll send you my email so that you can just we can communicate by email here a little bit.
Awesome.
So-
Thank you so much, Eric.
And then Dean, you had a question that's regarding bid on homes. I took that question. I'm gonna send you an email about that, Dean, because I think we can answer that get that handled for you a little bit more directly.
Okay. I'm sorry, you're gonna send me an email or?
No, I'm gonna put my email in the chat.
Oh, okay. Thank you. Thanks, guys.
Yeah. So any other, and this is for anybody that needs to get in touch with me. Just send me an email. We can have a call, or we can have a check, or do something. If I've had a conversation with you before, we don't really have to do any more than I just check with the asset managers. But if we've never spoken, then we should have a quick call just to meet each other and just have, know exactly where you're servicing, what you can do, is what your qualifications are. We assume everybody on the call has those qualifications. Otherwise, you wouldn't be getting the links, but sometimes you just want to make sure. So, will you have a code for 5-star this year? Will we have a code for 5-star? Yes. I don't know. Do you guys think we will, Darren, Barry?
Yeah, well,
Okay.
we'll talk to Ed Delgado there and be able to get something as a discount, and we'll be able to put it out.
Okay, yeah, our May newsletter should be coming out the 1st of May, and we're looking to have a guest speaker for May's Mastermind. We haven't shored up anybody at this point in time, but we'll be sure to communicate that to you guys. Also, while I have everybody on the call, be sure to be checking your spam for the 1st of the month. Some emails are not getting through because we send our emails out through a CRM. We have 4,000 emails that go out for the newsletter, so that sometimes they're not getting to the recipients. Apparently it got to all you guys, but not everybody's getting it. So, so we have another 4 or 5 minutes for questions. Anybody else have any other questions?
Can you hear me?
Yep. Oh, Kelly,
I
hey,
just
what's
wanted
up?
to let you. Hey, I'm driving. Sorry, I'm doing asset inspections actually. So I wanted to jump on the call. I've been kind of back and forth in the car. Hey, I wanted to let you know that I got the email from EXP today about my icon status.
Oh, cool. Yeah, we'll talk about that on later.
Yes,
Kelly, that's
but I wanted to throw out my thoughts, just 2 cents worth about Velocity. Was very apprehensive about going because of the smaller venue, but absolutely had the best time because it was quality one-on-one with all you guys, and got to meet some folks that I've done business with, especially with ADR over the years that I've known, but I've never got to meet. So I think that the smaller setting was a lot better than, the 4,000 people in Dallas. So that was my
Yeah,
two
we
cents.
definitely agree. And if anybody, if you guys have not sent your feedback back to Force about the conference, I'd love it to be in Nashville again next year. I just thought it was, as a matter of fact, I'm going to go for an extra couple of days if I can, because I just love the city. It was just so much fun. And my wife was with me, so we had a blast. But that would be the only thing I'd want to communicate to Force is I looked like they were looking at some other cities, but I don't think there's anything wrong with Nashville. Not there's anything wrong with other cities. I'm from Pittsburgh. I love Pittsburgh, but
I,
Nashville was fun to go to. So
Kelly,
I,
you there, Kelly? I'm glad you showed up.
Thank you. It was great
Hey-
seeing everybody. Can't
hey,
wait to
Kelly.
see y'all again.
yeah,
Yeah.
likewise. I would say, yeah, please make sure you guys all fill out that form, the survey from Force 5-star, because it's really important that we do that. Also, as Eric said, I want to mirror that. You want to say Nashville. I don't think it's actually a choice. They had a bunch of choices, but I would write in Nashville, and I would also write in how great the REO Alliance is too. Shameless plug.
yeah, well, we were sponsors, and we did
Yeah.
help support them by we brought a lot of agents there, and that was kind of the goal, was that we could have a conference that size, because it is smaller than, and it could probably grow a little bit and still be okay. But the idea was that it's a more intimate. That was the word that I heard a lot, was intimate. We have was an intimate experience, and we could you'll be able to have more productive conversations. I know I saw Eric Delgado talking to a lot of people, and he was giving his time freely. Darren, Barry, we were all really engaged as much as we could be. So that was the best thing about it. So I got time for about two more questions before it's more. I might have to jump more than anybody. I have a call at 1 I have to get ready for. But any other questions from you guys? And we really appreciate everybody jumping on today. By the way, we had I think 87 was our high, and that's probably a record for us for this call. So appreciate you all jumping on today.
I don't have a question, but I wanted to share something that I experienced this week with two different of my properties with two different situations that maybe from what I learned, it could help everybody else. One of my ADR properties, I discovered they took my listing and put it as a rental on Craigslist with everything from the MLS. So I got it shut down, reported it, notified the sheriff's department. So that's taken care of. So now I've kind of implemented that into my weekly thing, is I just scan all of Craigslist for any of my listings that could potentially be in there listed as a rental. And then I had another one that is not ADR, it's through Faye, but they, it's going to REO, but they are using it as an Airbnb. So when I did the posting, the person that called me was the renter for the week. So we got that shut down on booking.com and everything else. And it's just been an interesting week. So I just wanted to share that with everybody to kind of keep your eyes open for these scammers and what they're doing with houses.
Hey, Craigslist is everywhere. I've had a ton of them. What I've started to do is I've created just a Word document on my computer, and every time I get a new one, I post it in the window by the front door. This is not a rental. Please call, and I put my business card and all my information on there, but I right next to my no do not trespass sign, this is not a rental. So if they show up, the folks are going to know that it's not a rental.
Yeah, they're going to have
But
all
it
your
is- but it
signs
is-
down like mine.
Yeah, we
That's
do
right.
that. Do that too on the rentals we do here in Pittsburgh. We had, by the way, get the brightest color paper you can even imagine, and use that. And and then we used to put, like, if our property manager's name was on it, if you did not talk to this person, you're talking to the wrong person, and you need to call this person. And it stopped a lot of funny stuff that was going on. Absolutely.
Yep.
Good tip.
The thing
Yeah,
is that
yeah, that was a
Real
good
quick,
tip.
Eric.
Yes.
Who can I speak? My name's Chris Keller Williams. Who can I speak with to give me some tips, strategies? I'm in the Albuquerque market, and there was this broker that had 43 REO listings in 2023. I only had 3, so I'm just trying to who can I speak with to give me some tips, guidance to get some more
There's
volume?
there's a lot of people. I mean, a lot of people on this call would be happy to speak with you. I know Jeff Russell would have a conversation with you. Larry White, I would have a conversation with you. And the reason why I bring those guys up is we work really closely together. We're on calls just about every day with each other. So we sometimes we'll allow agents, to tap into our expertise. So I put my cell in the chat. I also put my email. Just send me a message and we'll work something out. We'll get you talking to the
Oh,
right people.
Okay.
It's a
Thank you.
strategy. It's a strategy, and a lot of people on this call have figured it out, and some people are trying to figure it out. So we want to help everybody that we possibly can, but we also know that this is also a business, and we just have to have that business plan going on. So
Okay,
right,
I'll
well,
follow up with you. Thank you.
yeah. One last question. I have to run.
Yeah,
But
I
go ahead.
don't have a question, but I just wanted to thank you guys. I know Bid on Homes is not the perfect system. There's not a perfect REO system out there. I've used multiple systems. I've helped build systems, but I appreciate that you guys are listening to our feedback. I've seen some changes recently that have made finding things and getting tasks done a whole lot easier. So I just want to say thank you for that.
Well, we appreciate that, Sharon. And we know your expertise is very important to us. So the expertise of everybody on this call is important to us. If we knew coming out of the gate what all the problems were, we would have created the perfect system. But now that we have the opportunity, Bid on Homes is very responsive. They work with us. They really do. It's just they have to go through engineering and the process to get things changed, which isn't always an immediate thing. But we appreciate everybody that's been on this call today. I'm so excited. We had almost 90 people on today, and we're going to do this again next month. But again, if Larry White's doing a call with tomorrow, so it'll be Wendy Kiefer with REO. What's her group? I forget her name in her group.
REO Network.
REO Network. Sorry, thanks, Jeff. And then next Thursday, Jeff Russell will have his call. And Jeff's call is usually, more of a mastermind. Ask a lot of questions. It goes a little longer. I think you run yours an hour or an hour or so. So you have a little bit more time to ask questions. But again, thanks for coming on the call today. I got a bolt. I have 8 more calls today. So today was a working day.
Thank you, Eric.
But this was a little bit of a break from that. I appreciate everybody coming on today. Thanks, Darren. Thanks, Barry. Thanks, everybody else
Thanks,
for their
Eric.
questions. We'll see everybody
Thank you, everybody.
tomorrow if possible. Okay,
Thanks,
see
Eric.
ya.
Thanks.
See y'all.
Thank you.